welcome to another tutorial by Christopher Vance. This tutorial is one that I promised to come in with. It's about the difference between graphic objects and movie clips. I told you I'd do that before. How do you like this screen desktop? Kind of cool colors we got going on here. Got some autumn colors coming in. I know it's summer right now, but so let's get right to it. We're going to look at Flash here, and I'm going to talk about the differences between when something's a graphic and a movie clip. So if you look here, over here in the edge, I've got this selected, these little eyes, and as you can see over here, it says it's a graphic, and that's a little graphic symbol there. This is an instance of IPAC2, and this is a graphic symbol. Now if you look down the bottom here, it gives you color effects. You can change where it is on the screen by the X and Y coordinates, the width and the height of it, and the color effect. I have none on there because I've already got the colors in it. And then it says looping down here, and this is part of the difference between graphics and movie clips is the looping. Here in this first option, I have single frame, which is the way a lot of people use it. But you can change it to loop, and I'm going to show you what happens when you do. I'm going to change this to loop, and first means which one of the frames is going to play first. And I'll show you why it says that. Graphics are just like movie clips, except for they don't play in the timeline like a movie clip does. This is a graphic, so if I click on this graphic, go inside it, you'll see it's got, if you look up top here, it's got 24 keyframes in it. This is an IPAC, and if I scroll along here, you'll see that there's a bunch of different eyes in there. I'm going to move this magnifier out of your way. But a bunch of different eyes here. One of them crying, and one of them closing, and looking sideways, or whatever. So these are all inside the timeline of this graphic movie clip that looks like this when you first start, only because I've set it on first one. But if you look up here on the timeline, there's only one keyframe here. Now if I have just this one keyframe and I don't have any of these frames in here, I'm going to remove these frames. And I click on this, you'll see this says loop over here. So when you control test the movie, it's not going to loop because there's no keyframes here for it to loop into, if you can understand that. So it's only playing that one frame, and there's only one frame on the movie clip. Now when that's what happens with a graphic, but if I had a movie clip on here, which I do have some over here, I'm going to show you. I got one here called movie clips. It's different, so let's look at that. These are two movie clips. Now if you go inside of each of these movie clips, you look over here, it says properties movie clip. There's the little movie clip thing, and I don't have an instance name because I'm not trying to use these with ActionScript. If I was using them with ActionScript, I'd have to put an instance name in here, and it says movie clip. So let's go inside this movie clip and look at it. Well, look how many frames are inside this one movie clip. So when this movie clip plays, it's going to have these legs going back and forth like this. But when you go back by clicking scene 1, you'll see there's nothing here, and as I scroll along here, nothing's going to happen. That movie clip's just going to sit there. And it doesn't matter how many frames are in here. If I get rid of all these frames, which a lot of people do that use ActionScript, you'll see a lot of times they only have one frame on the whole movie. Let's remove these frames real quick. Where's the remove? There it is. Now there's only one frame there, right? But watch when I control test movie. Well, he's just swimming right along. A little fish is moving just like a fish would move because he's got his own movie clip inside him too. So this is the difference between movie clips and graphic symbols, is that movie clips, you don't see them move on the stage, but they do move within their loop or within their and they will loop. You don't have to set them to loop. They'll loop automatically in their little frames. Like he will automatically loop to this and start back to the first one and loop over. So generally when I do movie clips like this, it's usually in some kind of loop that, you know, is some kind of random motion that just happens over and over again, like the blinking of an eye or a fish moving. Like if you look at this fish, I can make him a little bigger just so you can see it. But here's this fish, and all he does is he moves his tail up and down. And inside of these other fins and stuff, I have different moves that are their different movie clips too. Like if you zoom in here, if you see this one on top here, if I go into it, well, let's see. Okay, now we're inside this, just this movie clip here, and you see it's flapping back and forth, waving his, he's waving his hand there. Hello, how are you doing today? So movie clips have their own timelines, which are separate from the main timeline, and they will play whether or not, regardless of what you see on here. And that kind of ends up being a problem because some people they don't, I mean, they're trying to animate something and they don't know what's going on inside the movie clip. So like if I go here and I go to 20 and I insert a keyframe and create a motion tween, this is usually what you do, you know, I create a motion tween and then I'll click on this guy and I'll say okay, I want him to move right on by here. Okay, now that's the proper use of a tween. Create classic tween. Now see that little line up here, that means it's creating a classic tween. Well, the fish is moving too, which isn't good, so let me get rid of the fish. I gotta get rid of the fish off here, so let me cut him off here. And I'm gonna add him, he's probably down here. Let's move over here and see. Nope, okay. So it's just that guy on there, and then we're going to add another frame. We'll go ahead and edit, paste the fish on there. So here's the fish. Okay. So now the guy's just going to go right by this fish, but watch how it looks realistic because his feet are moving and everything, you know. And I could even like make him smaller up here. And these are all properties of this movie clip. Like you got color effects. I could choose alpha and make him disappear more, you know, to where he's nothing, and then all of a sudden he comes in. You can kind of see his legs showing through there, so I'm not going to do that. But I've changed his property of his scale and his height, so he gets bigger and bigger as he comes by. Let's make him even bigger just to add some effect to it. I hate it because this is in the wrong place, and that's going to mess up the movie clips. Let's go back here and put this in the center too. So now the transformation point's in the same place, but here he zooms along and he gets a lot bigger. Let's make him even bigger. And this fish is just going to kind of sit here, but I mean I could move the fish too. Let's go ahead and move him a little bit just for fun. I'm going to insert a keyframe, and this fish is just going to kind of move along like this, you know, move him along. Okay, so let's see what happens. Well, wait a minute, I got to tween him. Create classic tween. So now the fish is going to, you know, move along as he goes along. So let's check it out. And you know, you can make this last a lot longer by pressing F5, which is insert frame. Now it's lasting 3 times as long. Let's see, control test movie. See? So that is an easy way to animate stuff all the way through, you know, I mean, without, because you already have these objects that have their little movie clips in them, and you know, and it works pretty good. But another way to animate is like by doing keyframes or by doing graphic symbols. Well, if you look at this one, it's called pause Zoltan. This is a graphic symbol, and if you look over here, it's set to loop. You see over here it says looping loop. It's set to loop. So this guy is going to loop. Now, the good thing about graphic symbols is you can actually see them on the timeline. Watch as I move this along. Can you see him looping? He's moving there. Now, with a movie clip, if I moved it along the timeline, you wouldn't see that. So, like, if I'm here, I mean, you'll see the tween, but you won't. Let's remove the tween. You're not going to see these characters change at all as far as their inside movie clips that's going on inside them. But if it's a graphic symbol like he is, if you look up here, he says graphic symbol. See, it's a graphic. He's not a movie clip. You're going to see him move in this timeline. So this is a loop. So look at how this turns out. This is a control test movie. This is a pause for Zoltan before he jumps or starts to run or whatever. He's going to be controlled by ActionScript, and he has a run and he has a jump and he has all these different things. But this is his pause when a person, lifts up on the keyboard and doesn't touch anything. He goes into this mode and he just sits there and moves. And I know that looks real simple, but that was pretty hard to do actually. Make him do it smoothly. But he's done in a graphic. Now I could have made him, since it's just that simple movement and it's a loop all the time, I could have made him into a movie clip instead of a graphic. And you can go up here and try and change it. So, okay, I want it to be a movie clip. See, now it says movie clip. But I don't think that works really. I've tried it a couple times, different ways. I don't think that works the way it's supposed to. So remember to do it when you first create something. Now let me show you why you want to use graphics instead of movie clips a lot of times. So here I have a graphic that I created. I'll show you here too. This is a graphic of these eyes, right? Well, you see that they're set to loop here. See how it's set to loop? So this is going to loop through all the different eyes that are in this pack. And here's the pack. See, this is inside of eye pack 2. And inside of that graphic, it has all these different eyes. Well, I mean, that's great when you have a movement like Zoltan where it's a loop and you know what you want it to do. But here, we're not sure which one of these eyes we want to come up at one time. We don't want them to keep running like this. It would just look stupid. They're going, a bunch of different eyes. So what we do is, there's several ways you can do it. Number one, you take it and you take it off loop. And you do it single frame. Now, when it's set to single frame, it's not going to play. You see how it's not playing in the timeline when I pull that? So what you do is you go along here and you set a keyframe. And this is a set a keyframe for the eyes. And then I changed the first from what it was, which was, I think first was 1. Here it is down here. First is 1. And then here, first becomes 5. And this is the same graphic, but now the eyes change like that. So if I wanted the character to go, oh, how could you, you change it to where you want it in the animation. And here he is blinking. So if I want him to blink, I could have him blink. But as you can see, this Flash character is set to loop instead of play once or single frame. Play once would only play one time through all the graphic characters that I have in here, and single frame would stay single frame. So when I changed him to single frame, for some reason he went to 1, and we wanted which one that was. So in order for me to find out what one was the one where he's blinking, I got to click on here and go inside here and go, okay, which one is the one? Oh, there it is. Not that one. This one. This is the one I want. What is that? That's number 9. Okay, so let's go back. I'm in Evil Eye Pack 2. Okay, so here we are, and we want him to be number 9. So let's click on it to bring up looping. And instead of first 1, we're going to type in 9 here. Here's 9. And now he's blinking. So here he's up and he's blinking. Blink, blink, blink. Now I'm controlling this by just moving the handle here, in the timeline. But you can also control it. You can go, okay, I'm going to insert a keyframe down here, but instead here I want him to be 1 again. Excuse me. And when I do, it goes back to that one. So now he's blinking for a certain period, and the eyes look different when he's opening. Now that's one way you can do it. You can go along and put keyframe, keyframe, keyframe. Or you can start with your first... Let me clear these other keyframes. Now I just have the one keyframe, which is this one, right? It's on single frame. First is the first one, which is this first one in here. Okay. So what some people do is they convert these to all of them to keyframes. You go in there and convert all the keyframes to keyframes, all the frames to keyframes. But they're all set to don't loop when set on 1, so he looks like the same guy here. But then when you want to change it, you go to whatever keyframe you want to change it at, and you click on it, and you got to click like twice on it to get this looping part to come up, and then you just change that one. You say like, okay, put it on 5, or 6, let's say. So now it's 6. But all the rest of the time it was on that regular one. He goes, he changes whenever you want him to. And if you want him to stay in that position for a certain amount of time, you just press F5, which is insert frame. And you can see I can search so many frames there, and that'll stay there for just that as long a period of time as you want. Now that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just know what you're doing and go over here and change the first whatever number it is. But the thing is, it's hard to tell which one is it, which one am I looking at. So there's some great tools that you can have that will that are add-ons to Flash that show you how to, or they don't show you, but they, like I'll show them to you. Under other panels, I have listed in my extensions. I've got Animate Tools Junior, I've got Anime Slider Pro, and these are all different add-ons that work pretty good with it. Let me check out Lipper though, because it shows the pictures. So let's go back. I think we're back to the main scene. We're in scene 1, and this is the eye, right? And we want to open up Lipper, so we're going to other panels, Lipper. So here comes Lipper, and you press this button here, which is the load button, and it's going to load all the symbols for this eye. So that comes in pretty handy, see, because now you can see little thumbnails of what this eye looks like. So here we can go, okay, I want him to look like that, and you know that anytime you don't change it, he's going to stay this look here. How could you, what I mean? How could you do this? Make him close his eyes or whatever, and that's how they go along. And this Lipper and Anime Slider Pro really speed up the process. The other one is Anime Slider Pro that I have. I don't know if it's going to work now. For some reason I haven't been able to get it to work right, but usually you can take it and select these eyes, and then all of a sudden just hover over this and select one, and it'll change it. But see, it's not working. I don't know why. It's supposed to work when you hover over it, but now it does it when you press enter or click off it or something. I don't know. It hasn't been working for me right anyway, but that's a good tool too. But this Lipper works really good. I mean, you can say, okay, this look, and you can see exactly what you're trying to do. And that's the whole point of having graphics and having a graphic object instead of a movie clip, because in your main scene, you want to be able to use one set of eyes that change any way you want. You might have a little movie clip in there of his eyes blinking, but most of the time you're going to do different looks on his eyes, and when you do, you're going to want something like this because you can move right along in your, with using lip sync. That's why this is called lippers, because it's supposed to be for mouths, but you can use any graphic object with it. But that's how graphics work compared to movie clips, and that's why you want to use things graphics. Most of the time, if you're doing animation, you're going to want to use graphics a lot. Again, unless it's a loop type thing that is going to be used over and over again, like this Paul Zoltan. This is a loop that's going to be used over and over again. Now, it could have been a movie clip, but I made it into a graphic. It doesn't really matter. Graphics and movie clips, there is no difference between the two except for the way they play out on your timeline. And the cool thing is, with this, with it being a graphic, you can go along here and select and enter a keyframe at whatever point and do whatever you want with it. You could change them a little bit, and it will change the whole thing. Like, he will start here again, so that's basically the difference. Movie clips have their own timelines and are independent of the main timeline, and they are used mostly with your tweens and your properties of the movie clips. The only thing is, movie clips have all these great filters that go on with them. They've got drop, shadow, blur, glow, bezel, gradient glow, and a lot of times you want to do that with things like, you might want to add lighting effects or something that could glow, or have a drop shadow, and when you do, then you want to change it into a movie clip. But most of the time, when you're doing animation, especially when you're doing keyframing and stuff, you're just going to want to do a graphic symbol. And so that's the difference between graphic symbols, which is what this is, and movie clips, which is what these are. So see, if I take off all of this and none of that is there, and I remove those frames, there's these two guys, whether there's 2 frames on here or 6 frames or however many frames are on here, they're going to move just within their own movie clip. See, so they're going to do the thing that they do whether I move them or not. And that's what movie clips do. But you can't see movie clips on this timeline, no matter how many frames I got in here. If I have 10 frames in here, I'm sorry for the coughing. I'm starting to feel bad. Hard for me to speak. But no matter how many times I move this across here, it's not going to show you these guys move. And even if I take them and I turn them into graphics, if I say, oh, I'm going to turn this into a graphic now, let's see if it'll move. I guess it does. It shows you a little bit of it moving, but the thing is, there's stuff inside that, there's movie clips within movie clips in that fish. Let's see if this was what happens to this guy if I change it to a graphic. Now, he says he is a graphic. Let's see. Graphic. He should move then if he was a graphic, But he's not a graphic, he's a movie clip. I know it's a movie clip, even though it says graphic. So I'm going to change it back, so keep them. I don't know why they show you on there. But that's the difference, and the way you create them is you go, like, you select this one and go modify, convert to symbol. And then you have movie clip, button, or graphic that you can choose. Here's an advanced thing in case you want to link them to export for action script or enable guides for 9-scale slicing, which is like a thing that keeps them perfectly, all parts of them the same. I guess it works pretty good. And here's your registration point, which is important, like we were talking before, with using your bone tool. But that's the difference in graphics and movie clips. And there's some great graphic tools you can use. And what I've done is I've taken and I've put these in common libraries. And if you look in common libraries underneath Windows, normally all you'll see is buttons and classes. But I've added all these others, like here's fish, all of them. And if I open it up, these are all movie clips. Here's an anemone, here's a here's the word aqua, but because it has that black backdrop, I wanted to use these filters, and so I made it into a movie clip. But each one of these has its own movie clip inside of it, but when I pull it out, it's just going to, like if I pull this one out, it's just going to look like a thing, and I'm not going to see it change on the scene, but I know that it will change because I know I went inside it. If you go inside it, you'll see it's got its own layers, and each layer has its own little movie clip. So it's a movie clip all to itself. So if I go control test movie, it's going to be moving too. You know, I know each one of these are movie clips, and he's a movie clip too, even though I set him as graphic, and it kind of made him move around. But that's the difference. And you can put two together. Like you can go in here and say, okay, let's put another layer on here and put a graphic symbol in here. Let's go to graphic symbols, and we'll copy this one. Or this, well, let's do the eyes. Edit, copy. And then I'm going to go back to where we were at, if I can find it. And I'm going to go down here to the beginning. We'll go edit, paste, and center. So now this graphic symbol is pasted with all these movie clips around it, right? Well, down here I want the eyes to move, you know, so I'm going to insert a keyframe, and then I'm going to click on this and go over to a single frame, and I'm going to say, you know, give me number 6 there, or number 4, whatever. So now he's looking up, you know. So now he's going to change, and he's going to stay there because I have it on single frame. But I could have him look back down or do whatever I wanted as I go along, and instead of trying to go inside here and see which one is which, all I got to do is open up the Windows Lipper, and it will show me all the different thumbnails of this particular thing. I just put a keyframe up in here and select them as I go along. And then these guys in between here can be tweened. So this is the fish, the bottom fish, and I would insert a keyframe here and do a classic tween. And you know, fish usually just move, so it's pretty simple. Okay, now he's just going to move across, and then I'm going to select this guy, and he's on the bottom one, and I'll go down here and insert a keyframe and do a classic tween. And then now see, this is on the same thing, and there's a problem when you get two of them on the same one. And you run into the same problem on the same layer, and you need to like name these, like you name this guy Scuba. And let's get rid of this keyframe because they're both on this keyframe. So I'm going to edit, cut that, clear keyframe, and then I'm going to go remove this tween, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get rid of this and put it on its own frame. So modify, break apart. Okay, so I want this, and edit, cut. See, he's not going to be on there. I'm going to put him on another one. Edit, paste in place. So now he's on a separate thing, and he's Scuba, and I call him I don't know, Yellowfish. And then down here I'm going to insert a frame, keyframe. Usually with oops, I inserted a frame, so let's just edit, undo. Usually when you end up doing this stuff with movie clips, you're just moving them around, you know, basically. It's basically what you do with them. You're changing the properties of them. So there he goes, you know, he's going to move from over there to over here. Let's move him off the thing so he looks, just swimming by. And this one, let's insert another keyframe, and let's move him around here like this. So that, well, I don't like that being over there, so let's move him over here. Let's move him like this, move him up here. I don't know. Let's move him off the stage. And then this guy will insert a keyframe. But what I'm trying to show you isn't so much how to do tweens, which is what I'm doing here. Make this guy a lot bigger down here just for the fun of it. Okay, so now they're all going to move around. But the main thing I was trying to show you was that you see the difference in the graphic is it's showing you right on stage what's in the graphic. And if I put this thing on loop, this graphic on loop, I'm going to be able to see every one of these on here. Watch. See? I'm able to see every single one going through each and every keyframe. Now you don't want to do that because it looks kind of stupid, but you could, you know what I mean? But you can't do that with these guys. They're movie clips within themselves. So if I want to change the other one, I just insert a keyframe and then I click on it and decide which frame I want. So let's go back to frame 1, and just hit enter. See, so now he's going to look up for a certain amount of time, and then he's going to look over there, and you know, you could have him look in the other direction. Insert keyframe. Here, I'm not even going to use the graphic capabilities of him. I'm going to go here, and I wanted to move that down because that fish was right in front of him, so let's move this over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make him look in the other direction, only I'm just going to switch it around real quick, which is kind of cheating, but as you can see, it looks pretty cool, you know. So that's the kind of stuff you can do with graphic, the difference between graphics and movie clips. Let's check it out and see what it looks like. See? Hey, he's looking around here. What the hell is going on here? What are all these fish doing here? You know, you could have them talking and, you know, and the fish moving around. And it's good to have both because sometimes you want to do random things that go over and over again. Like you might want to have smoke. You might want to have fire. Like I don't know if you've seen the other videos where Zoltan has fire coming out. But so there you have it. That's the difference. One thing I want to caution you on is if you are doing graphics and you put another symbol on the same stage or on the same layer, like here, see, let's call these eyes on this layer because that's basically what they are. But suppose I wanted to add something else to it, like hands or something. I know, okay, ears. You know, now if I put this ear on here, this is a graphic symbol, and it's set to first one, and the first one of that group. If you go in here, you'll see. Well, it's supposed to be the human ear. I don't know why it's showing this one, but I guess that's number 2. So let's go back and see. Yeah, well, see, this is the problem. See, this guy here is set to first one, so it's calling this one first one, although it's not on first one, and it's set to loop. So what you need to do is not put graphic symbols on the same layer. So let me show you. Edit, cut. I'm cutting him off here. I'm going to put a new one on here called ears. And I'm going to go way down here and I'm going to go edit, paste, and center. So now I have this ear here. But as you can see, this now says first one. But it's the green ear. Before it was the human ear. And the reason was because I had it on the same layer and it was messing it up. And that does happen. So it's something you got to be careful of. And now see, it's set to loop, and I don't want it to loop because it's just a single graphic. I've got like a single graphic with a bunch of different graphics inside of it in case I want this ear or I want another ear. I could go in here and I say, well, which ear do I want? You know, I want a rabbit ear. You know, I want this ear. But I always have it set. Supposedly, always have it not set to loop, but single frame. So there would be his ear, and then like if he looks up, I could just insert a keyframe here and maybe tweak it a little bit, you know. So now, and I need to set that just when he looks up. So now when he looks up, his ear moves along with him. But you can have all this going on in the same thing. So don't be afraid of movie clips as compared to versus to graphic symbols, because both of them are necessary and both of them are used within the Flash environment. I find a lot of times, when I first started, I used to think that gotta have a movie clip, because I wanted to do all these cool fades and everything. But later on, you found out that no, you need both, and they're different, and they're both used for different purposes. A lot of times, if you look here, they have a naming convention where they do _MC, and that lets people know that it's a movie clip compared to a graphic, and I guess graphic is GRF or something. But yeah, that's what they're all about, and I just want to let you know, and I'm glad that you guys are checking out my tutorials. I haven't had too many hits on them, but maybe one day. So hope you learned something, and Chris Vance signing out. Good to talk at you all again, and God bless you, and goodbye.